What's the craziest thing you've ever done to kill a whitetail?
Driving from Virginia to Texas, 23 hours on the road to hunt one day. Literally, one day hunt, turn around and drive 23 hours back. A lot of sleep, a lot of driving, a lot of Colt driving, a lot of me sleeping.
Good plan.
It is a good plan.
Craziest thing I've ever done, besides hunting with this guy?
It would have to be sitting in a freezing rainstorm. Iced like crazy, all up and down my tree stand, didn't know how I was gonna get out of it. I slid down it.
It had to be so scary, Steve.
After an evening hunt, there was a food plot that had these crazy weeds that came up in it, like with the thick stalk.
You didn't handpick those after the hunt, did you?
I went in with a weed whip, zzz, and broke the whip. Went in with a push behind, zzz, broke the push behind.
All in the dark.
Now it's all in the dark with the headlights of the truck. And then I went in with a hedge trimmer, handheld hedge trimmer, ½ acre, by hand, roll tape. It's nuts, like who does that? It took like 3 hours. And they get home till like 1 in the morning that night.
And I can talk about this now since it's past the statute of limitations, but I stole my mom's car when I was 15. I only had a permit.
What?
Yeah. Mom's car was in the driveway. She hadn't left for work, so I took it. That's when I killed my first buck like that.
She didn't have to work that day or anything?
Yeah, she had to work, but it was only 3 blocks. I mean, she had to walk, and it wasn't that cold yet. It was like in October.
If you could learn to do anything, what would it be?
Surgery.
Dang, I thought maybe speaking Spanish.
I could specifically ask you what you wanted me to cut on.
This is like on a less serious note, but I would love to learn like how to use nunchucks.
Shut up!
I mean, really, like nunchucks, yeah, like.
Omnilinguistic.
That sounds like an Ernie word.
Can you spell it?
I don't even understand it.
It's a fancy word for being able to understand or interpret any language. I think that would be cool. If you could go any place, anywhere, travel, and understand everything that they're saying.
Play guitar and carry a tune.
Nah, come on, salsa dancing.
No,
Tell the viewers.
there's a song out there by the Giesenslaw brothers, and it's called "Help I'm White and I Can't Get Down," and it was wrote about me. Trust me.
Delivering a baby. Honestly, I think that is the greatest moment of people's lives.
He would pick delivering a baby, being pregnant and having a baby.
No, he wants to catch the baby, not let the baby come out of him.
You don't want to have a baby, okay.
No, I don't want to have a baby. No.
He didn't want to hike it. He wants to catch it.
I would love to learn how to kill a Boone and Crockett whitetail.
Wouldn't we all?
My sister has done it twice. Maybe I should pay more attention.
Mike may not have any Boone and Crockett's under his belt, but he has harvested his fair share of great mature bucks. And right now, Mike's focus is not on filling another tag. Well, at least not another tag for himself.
Back in 2015, we picked up a new urban zone property and immediately started getting these pictures of a pair of bucks.
Yep.
One of them we named Marvin, who's a cool-looking, heavy racked 10-point. Christine really liked Marvin, so...
I fell in love.
Near the end of last season, Christine got a crack at her dream buck for the first time.
It was a hectic encounter. He comes in with 3 or 4 other young bucks, and it was super cold. Do you remember how cold
It was like 9. It might have been colder. I couldn't feel my hands, my face.
And so our communications weren't that great. I thought you smoked him.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Slightly forward and into the shoulder, and we didn't find him.
It turns out there was a very good reason why Mike and Christine never found Marvin.
We didn't kill him. It was shortly after the close of the season we started getting pictures of him again.
With a new season approaching, Christine is planning on putting all of her efforts towards finishing what she started with Marvin.
In an effort to keep Marvin around more, this past season we planted a Whitetail Institute food plot, tall tine tubers and no plow, a little kind of a kill plot. It turned out good.
I was happy. It was a lot of work. I've never done anything like that, so that was a lot of work.
The food plot was in, and Marvin was back on the cameras, at least for a little while.
We had him summertime pictures, and just right after the season came in, he was gone. It wasn't until January the 10th he showed back up again, gave us 20 days to get him shot.
Marvin has finally made his late season reappearance on the Reconics, but after hunting a buck all season with no luck, it can be hard to stay patient.
We were hunting Marvin again over the new food plot, and I see a buck and I tell her it's Shorty, which happens to be another 4-year-old that we have there on the property. And he's called Shorty because he's got absolutely no tine length. Nice width, but his tines are shorter than his brow tines, so that's why he gets the name Shorty.
Christine has been on a 2-year quest to harvest a buck called Marvin. But after not seeing him all season, Christine has a decision to make when another mature buck comes into her food plot.
The first words out of her mouth was,
Not a chance.
not a chance, or I'm not shooting him. Anyway, I just knew that she wasn't going to pick up the crossbow. I was proud of her for passing him up. Most people probably would have shot that deer, especially getting late in the season like that. But she had her heart set on Marvin, and there's something to be said for that.
Christine would show the same patience a few hunts later when once again Shorty came strolling right through the middle of the food plot.
Once again, she had her heart set on Marvin, and I'm proud of her for not settling.
Well, Christine wasn't settling, but she also wasn't seeing Marvin, and it looks like another hunt is about to come and go without that savvy old buck showing his face.
We lose camera light about 10 minutes before we lose legal shooting light. I had reached down to grab the camera bag because it was done. The light was gone.
He's ready to go.
Yeah. Just about the time I pulled the camera bag up, I hear her say, "Here he comes." I just stuck the camera bag on the seat of the hawk, got the camera on him. He didn't come straight into the food plot. It might have maybe been okay if he had but he got hung up in some timber there, and by the time he got to the food plot, I had to do the worst thing possible and called her off the shot.
Do you ever have that feeling of you're gonna vomit and cry at the same time?
Old vomit cry.
Oh, that was tough.
We got home and looked at the footage, and we both agreed that it was the right thing to do. It was just
It definitely was.
way too dark.
Thanks to a lack of camera light, Marvin once again slips past this Indiana couple, and with only a few days left in the whitetail season, Mike and Christine are running out of chances.
On January 23rd, we pulled a card on the way into the stand. I sat down to use a card reader just to see what pictures there were. I was about halfway through, not very many pictures, and she says, "Here he is." I'm hoping at a distance, right? No. He is walking into the food plot. He had come earlier than he had ever come. He'd come from a direction that he had never come from. So besides me not being ready, she's also has her crossbow pointed in the wrong direction. And so by the time she can get swung around and I can get the camera on him, he's through the edge of the food plot, and we've made him nervous, and he's making a big circle around. And
Back at me like, not
see
today.
ya. So frustrating to have the deer that we've tried to kill for 2 years, the deer that she's passed other good deer to kill, and to have him in bow range and not get it done was just almost more than I could take. I know she was disappointed, but I think I was twice as disappointed.
I think only because we've been hunting him so hard the whole month.
That was bad.
That close encounter would be a painful memory for Mike and Christine. But just as the season was about to come to a close, Marvin paid them one more visit.
On January 28th, 3 days left in the season, and Marvin decides to grace us with his presence. This time doesn't commit to the food plot. We really had no chance of shooting him this day. Just skirts the food plot where we can see him one last time and walks out of our life for
The season.
the season. It's frustrating because we had the opportunity to kill him and didn't, but he's gonna be 5. He's already big. He'll be a giant.
Yeah, he was big last year. I'm looking forward to this year.
Christine's whitetail season may be over, But that means it's time to start preparing for next season. There are a multitude of tasks that need to be done to be ready for deer season, including hanging new hawk stands. This hard-working family man has a long history of success as a whitetail hunter. Traditionally, Steve is a bow-only hunter. In fact, he's responsible for introducing one of the Fix's other die-hard bow hunters to the sport.
The reason why I'm a bow hunter is because of Steve. Steve told me I needed to buy a bow, and I was totally against it.
Now you can't put it down.
And now I can't put it. This is the reason why we're here is all his fault.
However, in recent years, Steve has embraced some new weapons for whitetail hunting. That's not all that's new for Steve. This year, Mr. Filley is going back to his roots. He's back hunting at his family farm for the first time in a long time.
I had to build it from scratch. So.
With Steve hunting on his family farm this year, he knows that he has to get some Whitetail Institute food plots put in.
We're doing a little food plot this evening.
However, thanks to the severe flooding, Steve is worried that a lot of his seed may have washed away. Steve's season may have gotten off to a rough start, but it didn't take long for the Reconics to show him that he had some great bucks to hunt this year. Despite the great bucks on the Reconics, Steve was having a hard time catching one of those bucks on the hoof.
We are playing cat and mouse with a couple giant deer. Every evening that we're not here, they show up.
Now, with the Missouri rifle season only a day away, Steve is hoping he can spot one of his shooters before the Orange Army invades.
The night before opening morning of the rifle season in Missouri, I went back to my faithful stand.
I've got the decoy out, the Reinhardt decoy. She's out there moving around, dancing around, so hopefully if something comes in, she'll get their attention. Love this stuff. I actually, when I climb up in the tree, I actually spray it around my stand here.
It was a good evening. I had all kinds of encounters.
Where's a big deer? Yeah, here comes one of my shooters.
Steve finally has one of his shooters in sight. Now, Steve just has to hope this buck comes within bow range.
4-year-old deer, probably 126 inches. I mean, I would have shot him with my bow. I mean, I'm not that picky. You know, a 4-year-old deer is a 4-year-old deer.
That's the thing about mature whitetails. They seem to have a sixth sense for avoiding hunters. Just when Steve thought this buck was coming right to him, this old whitetail stepped behind some cover and waited. And waited. And waited. Even if Steve was disappointed that he couldn't get this deer to come in range, he did realize that there was a silver lining to letting this buck go.
I knew that if I let it pass, my brother was going to shoot the next day, and he would be done and be out of my hair. Anyway, I snuck out, and 7:30 the next morning, my phone rang, and my brother was so excited he shot that deer. So I thought, there I go, I'm free at last.
Steve's brother is tagged out, which means Steve has the family farm to himself. Well, not entirely to himself. There are some giant bucks that are on it too, and Steve is hoping that one of those big bruisers cross his path.
That was the biggest 6-pointer I've ever seen. It's just 3-year-old, but I've never seen one that dark and that chocolate and that big and massive.
That buck may have slipped past Steve, but this Missouri hunter knows how to always look on the bright side.
It's a good sign. I mean, it's 10 o'clock. He's still up, so the others should still be up.
Especially when the bright side involves ribs.
I'll give it about another 45 minutes to an hour. Then I'm gonna go home and smoke some ribs. Fat boy's gotta eat.
Steve Filley has been seeing lots of great bucks on his family farm in Missouri, but he has yet to fill a tag on one. However, thanks to his reconics, Steve may be getting closer to getting his whitetail fix.
I'd checked my reconics for 2 days. This deer had been in there for the last 2 days, religiously in the same spot. I thought, man, I'm gonna kill this deer, but the wind wasn't right.
Steve knows that to get your fix, sometimes you need to improvise.
So I'm gonna resort back to idiot hunting. I bailed out of the truck. I walked down, found a nice tree, backed up against it. Didn't expect to see anything, laid back. Picked up a grunt tube here and there and grunted in it. Rattled a little bit.
Steve may not have a typical setup with no stand and no cameraman, but he's scent free, he has his Nemo, he has his Cherokee calls, and he knows that when it's the rut, anything can happen.
Lo and behold, next thing I know, he's right in front of me. Coming down the ditch, I got my camera panned around to him. By that time, he was already down the ditch coming up my side. In the heat of the moment, I positioned the camera where I thought he was going to end up. And he ended up maybe 6 feet, maybe a little bit more than that in front of me. I raised the gun up. You know, the Nemo did do the trick there, so.
My gosh, that was stretching the range of that Nemo. 6 feet?
Yeah, 6 feet.
Wow.
The Nemo did its job, and per usual, Steve Filley did his.
I just shot the biggest deer, I think, of my life. Wish us luck. I think this Nemo might have just put the smack down. Awesome, dude. Awesome. Well, guys, here it is, the buck that I was after. Started rattling and calling basically as soon as I got to the spot where I was going to be at. About 15 minutes before, too dark for camera light. I seen him coming down the hill. I didn't really know what he was, but he got within 5 yards of me. And you have to forgive me, I didn't have the best footage, but I wasn't going to let a deer of this caliber walk. Whitetail fix achieved this evening, November 16th.